And Holland is our last stop in the Eurocup for this year. More precisely, a small town some 30 kilometres east of Rotterdam with a population of about 3,500 called Meerkerk. It can trace its history back over 700 years, and in recent times it has joined together with 6 other surrounding villages to form an administrative area called Zederik. On the one side of the town is the motorway to Utrecht, and on the other the Meerkerk Canal, which during the summer is a real haven for fishermen and pleasure boat owners alike. And when it's hot, what could be more refreshing than a cooling swim for the whole family? And Holland wouldn't be Holland without a windmill close by. This one beautifully restored and used as a summer holiday home. It was probably the inspiration for this painting, which greets visitors and campers alike when they come to Camping Victory, which is the base for the SVR Camping Association, which this year celebrates its 25th anniversary, and now boasts over 1,200 sites in Holland and 100 in 15 other countries. This is the president, Willem van den Berg, who started it all, and there's one difference from this association to the others: all the sites are on farms. And Mr. van den Berg spends a lot of his time these days campaigning for a relaxation of the strict government rules. Well, they certainly seem to enjoy the relaxing atmosphere down on the farm. But for us, it's time to go down to the pulling arena for the 5th and final round of the 1995 Eurocup. The large crowd are waiting expectantly for the first event of the day, which will decide who wins the 4.4-ton modified class. Now, if you're new to the sport, the tractors are coupled to a sledge, which they have to pull as far down a 100-metre arena as possible. Over 100 metres, and they qualify for a pull-off final. Here you can see the weight box, which by a series of gears and pulleys moves down the sledge. The closer to the front, the harder it is to pull. The tractors aim to spin their rear wheels as fast as possible because they pull by friction on top of the surface. Work on the track is nearly completed, so before we get underway, let's have a look at the points table as it stands at the moment. The final result will be made up of each tractor's 4 best scores. Green Spirit the 4th has a strong advantage, but Fox could still do it, and Desperate Dan and Snoopy could steal 2nd place if he has an off day, that is. There are 15 competitors in this class, and here is the first of them, Henk Pastoor and Black Horse. This is Henk's first season in tractor pulling, and he's learning a lot all the time. Currently 7th in the Dutch Championships, and he told me it took him 6 months to build this machine, but as he's a mechanic by trade, it was probably a labour of love. It's powered by a single Allison V12, which he brings to life by easing forward on the throttle. Black Horse is away. Oh, the going is getting tough for the young man from Utu Simadan, and Henk Pastoor will be lucky if he's made the 75-metre mark. A 73.5 for Black Horse. Now it's the first turbine of the day, a Rolls-Royce Proteus, which was designed for the Britannia aircraft. That's Bas Liefding from Midden Beemster, who's sitting alongside. The turbine winding itself up. And this is a good run from Whispering Angel. Our camera's just below the 90-metre mark, and he's well past that. So I think that Bas will be satisfied with this run. Oh, looked like a moment's panic there where they weren't sure where the smoke was coming from, but everything seems to be in order. It may be called Whispering Angel, but you still need your ear protectors on when it's making its run. Now, let's see the distance. 94.46 for the 23-year-old student and Whispering Angel. On the right there is Mr. Alting, the promoter of the Ahoy Super Pull, which takes place in March, and he's checking out some pictures from the USA, where he's off to in a couple of weeks to line up some American stars for his show. And here's the next to pull, Black Cat from Holland. There's 6 Chevys there, giving him 2,000 horsepower. But it's not enough. Wim Holzappel from Lemmerleveld is not going to be in the money today. 73.69 is the distance for Black Cat, and that's just 19 centimetres better than Black Horse. There's a trusty fan waiting patiently for the appearance of Asterix, who, if you care to count them, has 7 Chevys mounted on his frame. The number and type of engines that can be used is carefully controlled by a points rating system to make sure that no one gets an unfair advantage. Right, now let's see what Asterix can do. End of pole, bouncing merrily along to about the 90-metre mark. 88.63 for the tractor driver from Vignard and a previous Dutch champion. Now all eyes are focused on the start, where this splendid tractor has arrived on the scene. It's called Thunderbird. It's powered by 4 Rolls-Royce Gnome engines that come from Wessex-seeking helicopters. Keith Boss tells me this is only his 4th pull, so they're still very much testing things out. Oh, a little wild on the steering, but now he's going well. And that was very promising for a new machine. Look at the heat haze from those enormous exhaust stacks. 89.5 for Thunderbird. Oh, he must have spent a fair bit of time under the needle for those tattoos. Next into the arena is another Dutch competitor, Viper, driven by 42-year-old Joep Wouters from Birmingham. He was Dutch champion in 1984 and European champion in 1986, so he's got plenty of experience. But he hasn't got the distance today. His 2 Chrysler and 1 Keith Black engine ran out of steam well below the 80-metre mark. So that will be a disappointment for you. 78.38 for Viper. Bringing some shade for the commentator and scorers. It's very hot today, so I'm sure it'll be appreciated. Now this is Seaside Affair, named after the tourist resort Egmond Binnend, close to where they're based here in Holland. That's the safety wire that will stop the engines if for some reason they lose the main coupling. Hans and Rex Kramer share the driving. Hans takes the 4.4 and Rex does the 3.4. Well, Hans is on his way now. Drifting a little bit, but nothing serious. And it's difficult to tell from this angle, but this is definitely the longest we've seen today from Hans Kramer, who grows tulips, daffodils and crocuses for a living. 97.89 for Seaside Affair. Crowd of over 5,000 enjoying the sunshine and the action, which goes on with Super Casper. At the start of the season, they changed to a Polar 18-cylinder engine, which came from a torpedo boat. But I understand that they couldn't find the right plugs, so they changed back to their 12-cylinder Rolls-Royce Merlin. They're based at Emnes near Hilversum in Holland, and that should be Jan Groenstein in the hot seat. High in the air, but he keeps control. And the engine that last saw service in a Spitfire has propelled them to about the 85-metre mark. 85.89 for Super Casper. This Dutch sled is motorised, so it drives back to the start under its own power, and that saves a lot of time compared with the ones that have to be towed back by tractor. He must be a hardened pulling fan with his own air horns, which he's called Twin Griffin, but I'm not sure I'd like to be the one sitting next to him. Now from Belgium, this is Terminator V, driven by Stef de Hoff. He's been Belgium 4.4-ton champion since 1991. He adjusts his visor, make sure he's sitting comfortably, and then eases forward on the throttle to his 3 Rolls-Royce Meteor engines. He's been to all the Eurocup rounds, and 5th in Bernay is his best result. And with the big boys to come, he can't expect better today. 92.16 for Terminator. Almost a Riviera atmosphere in the hospitality area. Now on to the reigning Euro Cup holder, Fox from Denmark. 8 points behind Green Spirit, and the only one in a position today to deny him the title. Peter Larsen won't give up without a fight. He knows he needs a full pull. Oh, he's broken a blower belt, but is safely over the 100-meter mark for a full pull. They can see the blower belt as well. Perhaps we can see where it actually happened. There. And he was lucky it wasn't at the start, isn't he? So, a full pull to Fox from Denmark in a time of 10.22. There's the broken belt. Help is at hand. And whilst Peter's brother Torben looks to see if there's any further damage, let's see the complete list of those who've qualified for the pull-off. 6 in all, 3 from Holland, 2 from Great Britain, and 1 from Denmark. But only Desperate Dan and Green Spirit could break the 10-second barrier. It's a skill job to know just how much extra weight to add. Track conditions have to be taken into account. Too much and they won't pass the 60-meter mark. Too little and they'll all have full pulls again. First flagman, Willem Tamming, signals the first finalist into the arena. Kevin Whittingham from Great Britain with Snoopy. His tractor was up for sale at the beginning of the season for around £40,000, and it would really be perfect for someone looking to mount a campaign in Europe next year. Well, we shall see. At the moment he has a 2nd, a 3rd and a 4th place to his credit, and 4th place overall in the Euro Cup. Can he improve on that? We'll know in the next 10 seconds. His 2 Rolls-Royce Aero Griffins from Shackleton Bombers are firing on all cylinders, but he's had some niggling technical problems recently. He didn't sound too confident before the start. Well, 83.02 is the best that Snoopy can offer today. And now he'll have to wait and see what the others can do. But he's sure to at least retain his 4th place. Next to pull is the current leader in both the Dutch 4.4 and 5.4 championships. It's the Black Bomber, Id Koopmanschie with C. Sitzling. He seems to have had a TV jinx this year. When we filmed at Bernay and then at Wallaby Flavo, he's either blown up or had other problems, so he'll be hoping his luck changes today. He's also got a double Griffin configuration in front of him. Seems like all systems go, so why wait? Oh, and there blows trouble. Going so well, and then all systems stop. And there's the reason why. Comes from his right rear wheel. What a mess. Cease is taking it all in his stride. But 77.5 won't do his Dutch Championship chances much good, and his fans haven't got much to cheer about either. Now this is Desperate Dan, who's had a race against time. After Herning, he sent his Littlefield blowers back to the factory in the States for reconditioning. They arrived back about 5 minutes before he was due to leave for Meerkerk. So they loaded up and changed one whilst they were waiting at the docks, another on the boat, and the rest when they arrived here earlier today. They certainly seem to have improved his performance because he was the fastest qualifier. Oh yes, the big man really is bombing along. Our camera's just short of 90 metres and Brian Armistead flies by. That is a long one. And it could be good enough for his first Euro Cup victory of the season. He's waited long enough for it. When you're limited in the number and type of engines you have, it is important to get the most horsepower you can out of them, and a Littlefield blower does just that by compressing the air and forcing it into the engine just below the fuel so it goes in as a mixture. 93.96 for Brian Armistead, the big man from Blackpool in the north of England. And that really has put the pressure on the Fox from Denmark. Peter Larsen needs to finish at least in the top 2 to retain his 2nd place, and only a win will be any threat to Green Spirit, unless of course he's disqualified. Oh, he's not going well. And that is a pull he'll want to forget. His Chevys have not done the business. He's unable to recapture the spark that took him to victory last time out at Herning. 81.76, and with 2 to pull, it's not promising for Fox. The Euro Cup rounds are also part of the national competitions. So as Q18 Popeye is not in the running for a good Euro Cup finish, he'll be going all out to collect as many national points as he can. With Id Koopmanschie in last place at the moment, it could well be a profitable day for Jan van Elfen, who's a farmer from Bladel in southern Holland. I can tell you he's got lots of support here at Meerkerk and he won't want to let them down. He's got 3 Allison V12s that last saw service in P38 Lightnings. They've earned him 4 European titles, 6 Dutch championships, and he wants to add to that total. And that is the way to go about it. No nonsense, straight down the middle. He's over the 93 metre mark by the looks of it. Can he beat Desperate Dan's 93.96? No, he can't, but it was a heck of a good try. There in the black is Peter Direct's wife, who's been promised a new bicycle if he can win the Euro Cup. Not a super duper Tour de France job, just an old granny's type of cycle that she can potter about on at home. Well, with Fox down to 4th place, he can start writing the cheque now, I think. He won the first 3 rounds, but electrical problems meant he wasn't able to come out for the pull-off at Herning. This is almost a formality, but he needs good points in the Nationals, where he's currently 3rd in both classes. And his 2 Rolls-Royce Griffins have taken him to at least 3rd place, and that is more than good enough to win the 1995 Euro Cup. His best result since he won the 4.4 ton European Championship in 1991. Yeah, Peter is one very happy man, and it couldn't have gone to a nicer guy. So a dent in the bank book and a big cut for his new wife to clean. And here's the distance, 92.10, so 3rd place on the winner's rostrum for Peter Direct and Green Spirit the 4th. Desperate Dan held on to his lead by the skin of his teeth, and let's see the official result. So, Desperate Dan has certainly found the right moment to recapture his form, just in time for the European Championships in Sweden. Here's the points table, and 5th place from Fox means he slips down to 3rd, and Green Spirit ends up a convincing 12-point winner. Right, we'll take a break, but there's plenty more Euro Cup action still to come. And welcome back to Meerkerk in Holland for the final round of the 1995 Euro Cup. It's time for the 3.4 ton Superstocks, 14 competitors coming from 5 different countries. And while Jan van Alphen celebrates, here's Willem Veldhuizen of Mchale Bits and Pieces, who makes most of the parts himself.
Yeah, everything what you see here is made in our shop. I own a garage in Loosdrecht, Holland, and all the little bits and all the big bits, everything is built by ourselves. Well, the engine is a 9-liter motor, and basically the outside is a diesel gas block. We built the aluminum head ourselves, overhead cam. We built all the intakes, everything, all the oil system, the alcohol system. Alcohol system uses in 12 seconds about 22 liters of alcohol, and the wheel speed we produce is about 130 kilometers per hour, and we have an 8% split in it. So I think we're about the fastest. We are the Superstock who turn the wheels the fastest.
And those are some of the reasons which has ensured his 2nd successive Euro Cup title. The minor placings are still to be decided, with Deer Addiction, Delta Power and Rowdy all in with a chance. The track staff in their John Deere tractors doing a splendid job, but this track far from ideal for the Superstockers. The long hot spell has made the track very dry, and watering has only seeped down a few centimetres, and when the wheels start spinning, the earth gets thrown up against the pan at the front of the sledge, making it harder to pull. That's Eric Meyer from Hurricane taking some soil samples so he can see how best to set up his tractor and if there's any advantage to be gained on one side of the track or the other. This is the first to pull. Wim Janssen from Druten near Nijmegen in Holland, and Deer Hunter. He's in 2nd place in the Dutch Championships at the moment, and you may remember seeing him take 3rd place in last year's European 4.4 ton class. At least one young fan in the audience. Easing forward on the throttle. And the Superstock is away. Or you can really see those big chunks of earth being thrown up by those back wheels. And he stops dead level with the camera for a distance of 86.47 meters. So Deer Hunter sets the standard the others have to beat. Next to pull, Jan Burgraaf and Demolition Deer. All dangerously close to out of bounds, but he gets back on track well. And he is a long way short of Deer Hunter. 81.54 for Jan from Loosdrecht near Hilversum in Holland. His mechanic removing the side panel, checking to see if there was anything visibly wrong. Didn't appear to be, but he still needs a tow out of the arena. That's Edwin Dirksen, a mechanic with the Mchale Bits and Pieces team, and he's getting ready for their run. Looks like they're going to be double Dutch champions for the second year in a row, and they're also pretty confident about the Europeans in Sweden. So it's been a good year. Now, are they going to finish with another victory? They're all finding it difficult on this surface, and Mchale Bits and Pieces is no exception. But he's well past Deer Hunter, that's for sure. So that will give the lead to Willem Veldhuizen, and he will now have the pleasure of sitting and watching the others trying to attack his distance of 89.41. Don't know about pleasure. I guess it'll be more like sitting in a dentist's waiting room. But he's obviously confident enough, and he's done what he set out to do, which is to retain the Euro Cup. Joined there by his co-driver Leonard Griffin, enjoying the sunshine. Oh, bless you, hope you haven't got a cold. And Willem Tamming taking a rest on the front of Deer Addiction from Sweden, which is next to Bull. There have been record crowds at all the rounds except Wallaby Flavour, which was rain affected, and here is no exception. Right, now can Deer Addiction put in a good run and maintain his second place in the Euro Cup? Thomas Patterson will do his best, you can bet your bottom dollar on that. But I don't think that Thomas's best is good enough today. That was well below par for the 38-year-old Swede. 82.49 for Deer Addiction. That's Klaus Wiedek, long-time commentator for the NTTO. And when it gets hot, cool down with a nice lolly. Silver Bullet is the next to pull. It's the first Ford we've seen today, and that's Jan Hendrik Versluis from Boonton in Holland, who's behind the wheel. Getting ready to slip the clutch, and now he's away. Wandering all over the track, he has got real problems. And that won't collect him many points in the Dutch Championships, I'm afraid. I don't think he meant to reverse quite as hard as that. 68.79 for the 42-year-old Jan Versluis and Silver Bullet. Fortunately, there's a cooling breeze, so even though it's hot, it's not unbearable. Now from Finland, this is Mikko Pera. He blew a couple of turbos last weekend in Finland, so he's had a couple of nights burning the midnight oil to be ready for today's pull. But ready he is, and his helmet is on a roll. Always slipping badly to the side. Look at his front wheels. Now he's brake steered himself to safety, and he comes to rest at practically the same mark as Deer Hunter. Now has the 1992 European 4.4 ton champion edged himself into second place? Yes, 86.87 by 40 centimeters. So after 6 pulls, Mchale Bits and Pieces is still in the lead. 89.41 is the distance to beat. And Running Deer from Great Britain is going to try and do just that. It's owned by Peter Clark, who bought it from the States about 10 years ago, and who will see himself in the saddle later on. Driven today by 29-year-old Jeff Ashcroft, who's getting some advice there from Carl Carter, Desperate Dan's mechanic. Jeff started with a second place in Bernay, but he's not been able to repeat that performance in the other rounds. Maybe his luck will change today. He's going well at the moment, and he's past Mega Power and into second place at least. Yes, 88.25 for Running Deer. And the journalist from Brackley, Northamptonshire is satisfied with that. Roughneck broke at the start and failed to score, so we move on to the winner from the last round in Herning, Delta Power, owned and driven by Pekka Hurlevy from Finland. He shares joint third place at the moment with Rowdy, but that could change in the next few seconds. Oh, it really starts to hurt at the 80-metre mark. And just like those before him, those last few meters are like trying to pull up a steep hill with a strong wind against you. 87.68 for Delta Power. Well, there's one consolation for the 38-year-old truck driver from Calvia. He's got another chance with his second tractor, Caesar, which you may remember broke its block in Herning. So he spent the past couple of weeks fitting the new engine and getting ready for today. And of course, like all the other top drivers, he'll have his sights firmly fixed on the Europeans at Herbie in September, which you can see exclusively here on Eurosport. Now from Great Britain, this is JBJ Express, the 1993 Eurocup holder and runner-up last year. Peter Clark tells me he's rebuilt the engine and he went to an international dealer to get some of the parts, and he hopes that now a lot of the technical problems he's had will be over. As it's the first run with the new parts, he won't be pushing it too hard. And he certainly doesn't do that. 83.91 for JBJ Express. If you say blue balloons to anyone in the tractor world, they won't think you're crazy. They reply hurricane. Wherever it goes, blue balloons seem to follow. We saw Eric Meyer earlier on testing the earth, and we'll just have to see if the 33-year-old Snap-on Tools salesman from Gorsel near Deventer can snap to it on the track. He had a glint in his eye at the time, so maybe he fancies his chances today. Swiftly away, and a very straight course. This is going to be a good one. Well past the camera, and from this angle I think he's beaten Mchale bits and pieces. Oh, Hurricane was really firing on all cylinders, and a good result before the Europeans is just the sort of confidence booster he needs. 91.68, and Hurricane storms into the lead by over 2 meters. Next to pull is Zappo, who is also from Holland. Amazing that so far no one has managed to cross the magic 100-meter mark. I think that it's a combination of a heavy sledge and a tough track. And I don't think that Zappo, who's currently 7th in the Dutch Championships, will manage it either. But I may be wrong. And that is the end of a not so long and winding road for Zappo, who will not improve on his 7th place in the Dutch Championships with that run. 82.99 for Zappo. And he'd like to zap that Coke can. He's thirsty, he's pulled the ring off, and he can't get at the cold drink inside. Poor lad. Maybe help is on the way. And we're on our way to the penultimate puller, Caesar, with Pekka Hurlevy in the saddle again. Interesting to see how his new engine performs. Well, for a first run, that is not too bad. He's probably taking it a bit easy, so he still managed to beat the distance of his other tractor by nearly 20 centimeters. That's his wife Anna in the middle, and 2 daughters Parton and Johanna, who are here to lend their support. Now, this is the last to run. Could be a question of the last shall be first. Hurricane holds the lead with 91.68. If Rowdy from Germany can beat that, he'll also move up to 2nd place overall in the Eurocup. It's a carrot that Hans Schweiger is unlikely to turn down. Oh, he's still got a lot of forward speed. He's very close to Hurricane. Hans Schweiger thinks he's done it. That was a confident victory salute. 91.7, he must have brilliant eyesight. He beats Hurricane by just 2 centimeters for his first Eurocup win of the season. Let's see the final results table. A great win for Rowdy, but it was disaster day for Deer Addiction, who finished 11th. And so the 2nd place he's held since round 2 becomes a 3rd place overall. And Mchale Bits and Pieces, a clear and concisive winner of the Eurocup by 18 points. Right, we'll take a break now. We'll be back with the 2.6-ton 2-wheel drives. Welcome back to Meerkerk in Holland, where we're going to catch up with the class that we normally don't get a chance to see. It's the 2.6 ton two-wheel drives. And today they're competing for points in the Dutch Championship, which is the only competition under these rules in Europe. And whilst the water wagon gives the track a once-over, spectators have a chance to visit the soft drink and burger bars. There are 6 two-wheelers today. At the last round in Achterveld last week, Cloud9, Predator and Sledgehammer all broke their engines, but as you can see, Cloud9 is back in the ring. Plain Van Strien said their crankshaft broke, which destroyed the engine block, camshaft gear drive, intake valves, ignition flywheel and some rods. But thanks to help from the Sledgehammer team, they built up their spare engine and were ready last night. They'll be using a lower gear to compensate for about 200 less horsepower. Now let's see if Cloud9 ends on Cloud9. Oh, a ball of flame, and that's the end of their run. Some sort of cap has come off there. Oh, and then it's panic stations to get the fire put out. So another bit of bad luck for the 1994 champions who are in 3rd place this year. Now let's see that moment when the fire made life pretty hot for Plain Van Strien. There. But he still managed a good run. 95.22 for Cloud9. Next into the arena is Rattle and Hum. Rennie Mande behind the wheel. He's a 24-year-old student from Dronten, and their team like to be known as the Dukes of Dronten. Checking that the 454 Chevy is firing on all cylinders. Rennie seems to be ready. So steady, go. High in the air, it's getting tough. Oh, he seems to have a homing device on our cameraman, who, like a James Bond martini, was shaken, but he didn't stir. So nearly out of bounds. However, Rennie kept it in, but well short of Cloud9. 83.53 for the former Dutch champion. Cloud9 weren't the only ones who did a quick repair job after Achterveld. This is another of the casualties, Predator, who have what you might call a stretched beetle. Henk Hooghodel is the driver, and he comes from Doornspike. Now let's see how far Predator can eat up the track. Well, what about this? Not one around so far in the Dutch Championship, but it looks like he's going all the way. Well, what a good run there for Predator. Yes, a full pull for Henk Hooghodel, which really puts the pressure on the last 3 to go. It's the gleaming bodywork of Joyrider with a Chevy under the bonnet, or rather where the bonnet used to be. Really does look nice, doesn't it? It's only the 3rd run, so Art Evers, who comes from Boonton, will still be using this as a test. Go for it, Joyrider, says his fans, and I'm sure he will. But he ran into trouble just over the 60-metre mark, so not much joy for Art Evers today. But it's all good experience. 65.08 for Joyrider. 2 to go, and Predator's still holding all the aces with the only full pull so far in a time of 13.42 seconds. Now this is Heartbeat, driven by Gerard Franke, who also comes from Putten, so I expect there's some friendly rivalry with Joyrider. He's 4th in the Dutch Championships, and he won the last round in Achterveld, so he's on form. But he comes up short, just 3 metres away from matching Predator and forcing a pull-off. 97 metres exactly for Heartbeat. Now it's time for the last, who also happens to be the leader in the championship, Miss Liberty with Mchale. He's been biting his fingers that the competition will be finished in good time. The moment he's completed his run, he's off to Germany with his jet motorcycle. And the way things are going, he's going to have to break the world land speed record to get to Hockenheim, where he's scheduled for a 9 o'clock performance in tonight's drag race meeting. On the left, that's his wife Angelique, who's thinking to herself, well, we've won 4 rounds so far, is this going to be the 5th? Mchale always gives it his best shot, but only a full pull is good enough today. Oh, it looks like one of his cylinders has gone down, and this isn't very pleasant for Mchale. Bouncing around all over the place. And he doesn't get the distance either. Just over the 80-meter mark, I guess. 81.22. Well, it was quite dramatic at one stage. Let's see it again in slow motion. Strapped in, you can hardly see the track, and you bounced around like a yo-yo. And Mchale wouldn't miss it for the world. So a fine win for Predator, and with Sledgehammer still out of action, Cloud 9 moves into second place in the Dutch Championships, 15 points behind Miss Liberty. Right, now we're going to see another Dutch speciality, truck pulling for 10.5-ton trucks. There are only 2, but I'm assured that on most tracks they're quite spectacular. This one at Meerkerk has caused problems, so we'll just have to wait and see. Now this is the daft truck called Blackout. He won the first round at Weerden, then the second at Andijk and the third at Emmeloord, and it looked like he just had to turn up to win. But times change, and since then he's lost 5 in a row. So Klaas Jensen from Mihi is hoping that his luck is going to change back, and now. It was a good start, but the weight box is digging in. And it's getting really hard there. Blackout is brought to a stop. Let's see the distance, 88.53 meters. And I wonder what he thought of that. Annemiek Wiedek keeping the scores, times and anything else that's necessary on the official result lists. As we go back to the start and see the other truck, a Scania, which is called Innovation. It's driven by Henk Dekker. I think those 2 young ladies must have a little wager on who's going to win. Well, they've got a 50-50 chance of being right. So Innovation is on its way. Stars and stripes forever. Oh, goodness me. I think he could have carried on all the way into Meerkerk if he hadn't been flagged for a full pull. So no doubt about it, Innovation extends his winning streak to 6. Now here are 2 other winners and a loser. Q18 Popeye won the 5.4-ton modifieds and has now taken over the lead in the Dutch Championships. And in the 3.4-ton modifieds, Desperate Dan completed the double. He was the only one out of 11 to manage a full pull. But there were more teething troubles for Thunderbird in his 4th pull. Watch this. And this is what's happened to his tyre. And yes, you're right, we are going to see it again in slow motion. The 4 Rolls-Royce Gnomes were pretty bounced around after that little episode, I can assure you. Right, we'll take a break. We'll be back with the mini pullers after this. Welcome back, and if you're wondering, there are 250 Africans, as they're called, making up the word Eurocup, supplied by Martin de Lange's nursery. It's time for the minis. Here's the current points table. Mini Breaker has the strongest hand, but Simply Irresistible and Joker could all theoretically win if he has a bad day. Almost a South Sea Island image that, as Claes the commentator and officials seek some shade from this hot sun. This is Lombardo the 4th with Gert Dingerik from Zwolle in Holland. And that was a good run from the 17-year-old student who in his first season is 2nd in the Dutch Championships. 95.66, that sets the standard. And you might say that tractor pulling runs in the family. This is his father Willem with Lombardo 3. He actually has 2 with the same name. He blew the Keithbat motor on his main machine, so out comes number 2, which under the previous name Rabbit Injection won the European Championships a few years ago. He's the current leader in the Dutch Championships, but only by 2, so he needs the points today. Oh, and the way he stopped there, he could have another repair job on his hands. 81.48 for Lombardo 3. Pulling means power, And when you haven't got any more, you have to be pulled out of the arena, which is what Lombardo 3 is waiting for. And I must say, it would be quite unique if father and son were to finish first and second in the Dutch Championships. But there's still 3 rounds to go and anything could happen. Meanwhile, at the other end of the arena, Dirk Feenstra is building up the revs of his Turbomeca Turbo 3, which comes from the Super Freelon helicopter. Dirk works in the shipbuilding industry, preparing drawings. Well, he's got designs on a good result today. Time for liftoff. Flying down the arena almost on 2 wheels. And Landy lands just past the 90-meter mark. 90.74, so he moves into second place behind Lombardo 4. And he deserves a good blowout after that run. That's what's on the front of the sledge's weight box, which comes up to get you. So you have to be a bit like Lot's wife and don't look back. And getting a hand back is this splendid machine, a 14-cylinder Alvis Leonard's Major Star motor, which previously powered a Whirlwind helicopter. 800 horsepower at 2,800 revs. It's owned by Benny Kies and Gert Vriemen, but I think that it's Kies in the helmet today. So far they haven't had too much success in the Dutch Championships. Let's see if Vampire's got any bite today. No, the Vriemen boys from Nida need a few more horsepower. 77.49 is the distance for Vampire. They're the most popular lads here today. They're driving round handing out cold drinks. They've been kept pretty busy, I can assure you of that. Now here's the current Eurocup champion, Thomas Zimmerman from Ettlinscheid near Stuttgart. He's third in this year's point standings, and it would take an exceptional performance today to change that. Joker's powered by an Arias V8, which you would normally find in a drag racer. He's been German champion for the last 3 years and won the Europeans back in '92 when he was only 18. But he's finding it hard out there. And I would say that that was a well below par performance from Joker. That's Thomas's father Manfred pointing something out to the official. An 84.96 moves him into third place, but there's still 8 more to pull. So the young mechanic will have to give his engine a thorough once-over if he's going to improve for the European Championships in Herbie. Being videoed by some American mini-pullers who are on their way to Norway for a competition. And I think the sledge driver wants to show that he can also drive fast. Here's a mechanic for Garcon's Problem Child. 2 Rolls-Royce Gnome turbines from a Wessing Sea King helicopter provide the power, and Henry Van Alten from Hussen near Arnhem has his hands on the wheel. Oh, he's slipping very wide. And now he's out of bounds. I asked Henry why it's called Problem Child. Apparently they've had quite a few teething troubles in this their first season, and this is one more. And they won't get any points for that run. And if you'd like to know how much it cost them to build, 40,000 guilders have been mentioned. That's about £15,000. Now from Norway, here's the leader in the Eurocup, Carl Sofasengen and Mini Breaker. A full pull would certainly show the others his class and move him one step closer to the cup. Oh, he hardly has need for his front wheels. But look at the power from his Keith Black 572. He has stormed over the 100-meter mark for the first full pull in this competition. And I must say, he looks every inch a champion. Well, that was a pretty fast time as well. And it's no wonder he looks pleased. Well, 6 more to pull. And here's the next entry, Gompy, currently 7th in the Dutch Championships. And as the season has progressed, so have their results. Doesn't look like they've got reverse, so this is one way of keeping fit. It's a Rover Meteor V12 tank engine, and Gompy is the name of a walrus with no teeth. Now let's see what René de Bruin can coax out of Gompy. Not bad at all. He's about the 85-meter mark, so a good performance from this Mini, which uses the same type of engine as Ghostbuster. And look at that heat haze. 85.38 for Gompy, who moves into 4th place behind Landy. That's Dirk Dasselaar backing Bandit into place. And for them, when they blew their motor at Wallaby Flavo in June, it began a run of 5 outings with very little to show for it. And that blew their title chances away. But it looks like the Bandit boys are finding their feet again. $81.51 for Bandit, and certainly Dirk seems happy enough with that. He gets a congratulatory handshake from second flagman Dick Hornsman, and maybe happy days are nearly here again. Oh, that wasn't very nice. Come on boys, watch the pulling. And put that program down. You missed the next to pull, who just happens to be the former European champion Ghostbuster from Germany. Helmut Schwartz is the man sitting behind the Meteor V12 Panzer tank engine. Comes from Oberhammersbach down there in the Black Forest, and is currently 4th in the points table. So a good pull can see him push Joker out of 3rd place. No, he's losing speed, and he calls it a day just over the 80-meter mark. And that will be a disappointment for Helmut. 82.36, all of 2.5 meters behind Joker. Now we're left with just 3 more to pull, and Mini Breaker holds the lead with the only full pull so far. This is Betui Express with Jan Tamir. Now I'm afraid his Ford 460 is a little underpowered for the job at hand, and the 33-year-old crane driver from Waddenoyen in Holland has to settle for 71.44. If you're interested in finding out more about tractor pulling, then make sure you have a pen and paper handy, because at the end of the program we'll show you the address you can write to have your questions answered. That's in a couple of minutes. Right now we're down to 2, and this is Wild Thing about to make its run. The 462 big block Chevy is pumping out the power, but not enough to get Marco Van Roy anywhere near the leaders. 77.07 for Wild Thing. Now the last to go, simply Irresistible, who's just 4 points behind Mini Breaker in the Eurocup point standings. A couple of years ago, Bert Dykstra and Jaco Hoytland used to have a Mini called Ground Shaker, but they decided to pool their resources with Egbert Dross. Last year the trio won the European Championships, and now Bert Dykstra is going to see if he can match Mini Breaker's full pull. Oh yes, trouble early on with the steering, but no question about it, a convincing full pull. That really was quality pulling, so we have ourselves a pull-off. And while they rake and roll and return the sledge to the start, let's have a quick look at the details. Mini Breaker definitely the quickest of the two, but you can't write off the Flying Dutchman on home ground. So a two-way pull-off, and by qualifying, Mini Breaker is certain of enough points to win the Eurocup. But what is now at stake is, who is top dog today? That's Carl's young lady Ashlau, who hopes to have a Mini herself next year. He gets the green flag from Willem Tamming and he's away. Oh, a little out of control. I think he's clipped the line, but it's difficult to see from this angle and with all the dust. Wow, that really was a wild ride from the Norwegian. Here it is from our other camera. Yep, no doubt about it, at least half a wheel out before he disappeared into his own dust storm. So no distance for Mini Breaker, and that means that the next run is just a formality for Simply Irresistible and Bert Dykstra. It's an American Keith Black 540, and they use a special weather computer which takes altitude, humidity and temperature into account before coming up with the right amount of fuel mixture. Bert pushes the throttle to the floor. He's determined that this is going to be a good one. it is. Simply Irresistible is just that today. 91.66, so Bert Dykstra takes the honours and gets to stand on top of the winner's rostrum. And young Gert Dingerink finishes in a well-deserved third place. Now here's the official result. By finishing third, Lombardo IV moves to the top of the Dutch Championships and edges out Ghostbuster from fourth place in the Euro Cup. So this has been an excellent season for the 17-year-old, but Carl Sophus and Mini Breaker have reached the first of their goals, the 1995 Euro Cup. Right, now here's a date for your diary for next year. The 18th European Super Pull is on Saturday the 16th of March at Ahoy. And here's also the address to write to for further information on tractor pulling. So as Jan Boonton, president of the ETPC, congratulates the winners, let's pay them all one last tribute. Willem Veldhuizen, and Leonard Griffin, Mchale Bits and Pieces. Carl Sophus Sangin and Mini Breaker. And Peter Direct and Green Spirit IV. Champions all. And until the European Championships, this is Roger England saying bye for now.